Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Arizona.
September's almost here. Last weekend of August finds downtown Phoenix still tracking postseason possibilities for the Diamondbacks on Dad and Daughter Day. Optimism renewed after last night's come-from-behind win over Sonny Gray and the A's. Tonight, Game 2 of this series and start number 2 as a Diamondback for Yolis Chacin. It's the Diamondbacks and the Athletics right here on Fox Sports Arizona. And good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2 of 3, the Diamondbacks and the A's. And Bob, last night we were treated to a Goldie special, the 466-foot homer and small ball as well. That was really the play that seemed to make the difference.
Yeah, I mean, we expect Paul Goldschmidt to hit long home runs, and he has done that in this homestand. A long one against the Cardinals, and then last night against the A's, another tape measure blast to left center field. But the play everybody was talking about after the game was his strikeout. Ball got away from Stephen Vogt behind the plate, and Goldie sprinted down that first baseline like his hair was on fire. Was able to reach, later came around to score in the inning. Just one of the many things that Goldie does.
And that was a critical run. It turned out to be the run that tied the game 2-2 before the Diamondbacks took the lead and went on to win. Start number 2 tonight as a Diamondback for Yolis Chacin. He looked good the first time.
He really did. You know, he pitched effectively into the 7th inning against a real tough St. Louis Cardinals ball club. And, you know, he said he was nervous taking the ball for that start. It certainly didn't appear that way out on the mound. Had good movement, had good command, pitched very aggressively in the strike zone.
Yolis Chacin for the Diamondbacks. Rookie right-hander Aaron Brooks for the Oakland A's. Game 2 of this 3-game series. First pitch is coming up from Chase Field. Chasing a win, or Chacin in this case. Plus news about a pending Diamondbacks trade. A pitcher is on his way to New York. All that and more coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. is brought to you in part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter.
Welcome back to Chase Field. It's round 2 between the Diamondbacks and Athletics as both Chip Hale and Bob Melvin face off against their former teams. Game 1 went to Arizona, and now the D-backs will try to string together back-to-back victories as they look to their young righty. As you can see behind me in the dugout, they're having fun. Hopefully that Jhoulys Chacin will set the tone out there tonight. The young righty did admit to me in his last outing he was a little nervous making his first start in over a year, but as you can see behind me, this team is helping him settle in.
I'm pretty sure we'll be more relaxed. I was, like I said, in the interview the day I pitched, I was not nervous, but like butterfly in my stomach the first day I pitched. But I think this second one is going to be more relaxed and just trying to do what I do.
All right, and so now first pitch just on the other side. The Diamondbacks looking to go 2 in a row after stamping that 4-game losing skid. First pitch is on the other side. Chacin was great in his Diamondbacks debut. What will he do tonight as the Diamondbacks look for 2 in a row against the A's?
Be a bit short-handed tonight. Multiple media reports in New York is saying that the Mets have acquired reliever Addison Reed from the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for 2 minor leaguers. The trade, however, still pending. Awaiting the results of the medical information and the transfer of all the info there. Addison Reed, as you can see, is in uniform and in the bullpen tonight. But the Diamondbacks have not confirmed that news, but a couple of outlets in New York reporting he has been traded to the Mets. So we don't expect that we'll see him in the game tonight. That means that Dave Stewart's bullpen back there a little short, even shorter than usual. It's a tired group, and so they'll need something from your Arizona Forge starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Against these Oakland A's, it's Jhoulys Chacin. A loss in his D-backs debut on Monday against the Cardinals, but he pitched well in his first big league start in more than a year.
Keep using that sinker and let our defense play. I was impressed with the way he went about it and his control, obviously of his pitches, but just walking out, basically meeting the whole team and just taking control and having a great game plan with Castillo. I think that was impressive, so just to continue that and keep us in the game.
Chacin got the short end of the deal, Bob, against the Cardinals Monday, a loss in a 5-3 ball game. But as you can see here, he pitched well, an encouraging start.
Yeah, only 2 earned runs in his 6 1/3 innings pitch. Gave up 6 hits, scattered 6 hits against the Cardinals in that outing. And I think a valuable point to be made. He was just meeting his teammates before that last start. Hopefully a little more settled in this time against the A's.
Now remember, Billy Burns likes to attack the first pitch. He's batting .484 on the first pitch of that bat, and sure enough, 1 pitch, 1 out, a good start for Yolis Chacin. Take a look at the lineup for Bob Melvin's Oakland Athletics, who are scuffling. They have lost 12 of their last 16.
Billy Burns leading it off out in center field with Mark Canha at first base, Josh Reddick out in right field, Danny Valencia at third base, Stephen Vogt once again doing the catching, Brett Lowry at second, Coco Crisp a late insertion into the lineup. He'll be out in left field with Marcus Semien at shortstop and Aaron Brooks, the right-hander, on the mound.
Mark Canha, the first baseman. So no Addison Reed. You have to presume that he's, dressed but unavailable, I guess, Bob. So it's a short group back there tonight.
I mean, I'm sure if you're the Mets and you're trying to swing a deal for Addison Reed pending a physical, you would prefer the Diamondbacks don't use him today. So we have to work under the assumption right now that there at least one man down in that bullpen.
And again, the Diamondbacks have not confirmed that news, but both ESPN, NewYork.com, and Newsday reporting Addison Reed has been traded to the Mets pending the physical. 0-2 on Canha. Lance Barksdale is our plate umpire tonight. Mark Canha, 254 and 10 homers, leading all American League rookies in RBIs, and he's been a very productive bat lately. Good start for Yolis Chacin. A ground ball and a strikeout, 2 down.
Very early on here tonight, but that was one of the things that was impressive about Chacin in his first start against the Cardinals, changing speeds on that slider. Occasionally he'll throw it a little bit harder, make it look more like a cut fastball. At times he'll take a lot off and get underneath it, make it more of a sweeping breaking ball. That time got Canha to chase one just off the outside corner.
There's Josh Reddick, and the Diamondbacks put the shift on. There's a strike, 0-1. Reddick, 278 and 15 home runs. 0 for 3 with a walk last night. That's in the seats and out of play. Chacin ahead 0-2. Chip Hale said based on the way Chacin had pitched at Reno this year, and certainly after what he showed here Monday against the Cardinals, that he has really earned this opportunity to compete for a D-backs rotation spot. And so far he's looked good. Chip said that last time out he pitched well, did a great job, threw strikes, worked quickly, and certainly deserved a better fate than a loss in that start. Just inside, and it's 2-2. That was the game, if you recall, that the Diamondbacks very uncharacteristically played sloppy defense behind it, and that kind of bit him a little bit coming off that long road trip on Monday. It's full 3-2. Danny Valencia would be next.
We talked about Chacin being the opening day starter for the Rockies just a couple of years ago. I mean, this guy was on his way to having a really nice career pitching in Coors Field, which is not an easy thing to do.
Reddick chases one. Castillo applies the tag. Yolis Chacin, a ground ball and a pair of strikeouts. A good start here in downtown Phoenix. for Arizona's Yolis Chacin. And now we look at your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics. It's 25-year-old right-hander Aaron Brooks, acquired at the trade deadline from Kansas City in the deal that sent Ben Zobrist to the Royals. A minor league track record of very good control. Here's a scouting report.
It's a mix of pitches. For a guy that came to a new organization, for a young guy, really had some mound presence and a lot of confidence out on the mound for dealing with a new team and new environment, and on top of that performed well, so fit in real quickly here because of his performance.
Aaron Brooks, just his 5th appearance with the Athletics, his 4th start after a couple of relief appearances earlier this year with the Royals. He was a 9th round pick by Kansas City 4 years ago out of Cal State San Bernardino.
Look at his numbers this season in 3 previous starts. Throw a couple of different fastballs, a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer when he's looking for the ground ball. He throws lots of sliders to the right-handers, more changeups to the lefties. The changeup is his best secondary pitch. Has a curveball that he rarely uses.
Ender Inciarte leading off for the Diamondbacks. Drops one down. Brooks is on it. Tough throw, and Ender beats it out. Testing the rookie early here.
I like the fact that Ender Inciarte goes to everything in his hitting motion. He gets such weight on the back leg. He draws his hands back into a hitting position before showing bunt. Catches Valencia by surprise at third base, and the young pitcher does everything he can, but his throw is wide at first base. Wait till the last possible instant, and then it doesn't hurt to put down a perfect bunt on top of it.
Diamondbacks lead the National League in bunt hits, now 29. Nick Ahmed and Ender Inciarte tied for the team lead with 6 apiece. A.J. Pollock bounces one over the head of Valencia. Inciarte will stop at second. Boy, poor Danny Valencia, nothing he can do but stand there and watch.
Speed and the threat of a bunt pulls Danny Valencia in out of position at third base, right at the cut of the grass. Nothing he could do as that one bounces over his head on into left field.
2 on, nobody out for Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt, 328 and now 26 home runs. He is the National League's RBI leader. As the Athletics will set their infield defense. Goldie and Bryce Harper, the only players in the majors with an OPS over 1,000. A home run off the DBTV board in center field last night. 466 feet. That according to StatCast. There's a strike, 0-1. This was his 26th of the year. Boom. Woo.
Against Pat Venditti, the switch pitcher. I think he might have thrown it with the wrong arm.
I hate when that happens.
You surprised to see Goldie's not bunting?
It ain't broke. Well, we talked about the critical play that he made last night in the ball game, wound up as the tying run. Hustling on that strikeout, and Chip Hale said afterward he really believed that that was the play that won the Diamondbacks the ball game. And certainly the play that epitomizes the way he wants his club out there to play. That's why we play the way we play, he said. He eventually came all the way around to score, made it 2-2. Diamondbacks went on to win it 6-4. As they finally found a way to get to Sonny Gray. Down 2-0. They got 2 in the 6th. 2 balls and a strike.
It just once again illustrates that Goldie is always in the game. Even after a strikeout, the ball was still live. The game is still being played. Just because you struck out doesn't mean you drop your head and break your bat. start swearing, you know, the ball's still in play. Run to first base. Maybe he'll reach there. And Goldie did, was able to come around, score the tying run.
2-2. Called strike 3. Lance Barksdale rings him up. No argument from Goldie. 1 down.
The backdoor sinker that time, starts it just off the plate. Just enough movement to get it back to the corner.
Brings up David Peralta. David comes into tonight with a 6-game hitting streak. He's at .302 and 13 home runs.
There's that straight changeup I mentioned. He uses that not exclusively, but certainly a lot more against left-handed hitters than he does righties. Good fading, tailing action. Starts it in the zone and leads David Peralta right out of the zone, low and away.
Kurt Young is the A's pitching coach. He said if he was a hitter facing Brooks, he would have really no idea of what's coming, because Brooks has that type of mix. He will throw any pitch at any time. And he's ahead of Peralta, 0-2. There's Kurt Young. We talked about Sonny Gray, kind of a thin guy, 5'11", $190 or so. This is a big guy out there, 6'4", 220, more the prototype. Kurt Young was saying that he almost has a perfect pitcher's body. He's got some height to him, some strength, looks like he's flexible. And he's been a prospect they believe has just been waiting for his opportunity. He didn't get too many with Kansas City because they have obviously a lot of good pitching. Just inside, and it's even, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Chases 1 down, and Brooks gets another big strikeout. You got Goldie, now Peralta. That brings up Wellington Castillo.
There's something to file away there if you're a left-handed hitter for the D-backs tonight. 4 straight changeups to strike out David Peralta in that at-bat.
Well, it's up to Beef Wellington. 243 for the year, 17 homers. 15 of those home runs as a Diamondback. And Ciarte, the runner at second, Pollock at first, 2 outs. Trying to get into beef mode here. Just inside, 1-0. Welly last night 1 for 3, a double and an RBI. He was the guy that hit the fly ball on which Goldie tagged up from third after reaching on that strikeout, cut off by Canna at first.
I talked about it before last night's ball game after speaking with A's manager Bob Melvin. He was really concerned with the Diamondbacks running game. He was looking at the numbers. He says these guys run in any count. They'll steal second. They'll steal third. There was a couple 3-0 steals on there. A lot of steals without a throw to second base when the runners got such a big jump. That was something that was really on Bob Melvin's mind going into this series.
It just tells you what a psychological advantage, if nothing else, that is for the Diamondbacks, all run by the mad scientist down there at first, Dave McKay. He's a deadly weapon with that iPad. Ender taking a big secondary lead down there at second.
Let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the ball game tonight. For Chacin, we'd like to see a repeat performance of his outing against the Cardinals. He was outstanding against the best team in the National League. And talking about that running game, gentlemen, start your engines. Young pitcher on the mound, a catcher behind the plate that doesn't throw particularly well. Get the right guys on. Let's see him go.
Taking all the way, 3-1. Jake Lamb would be next. Aaron Brooks has shown a very good changeup here in some big spots to strike out Goldie and Peralta. See what he's thinking right here. It's the bell tie strike call, and it's full 3-2.
Not the worst thing that can happen to run the count to full, get those runners in motion on the pitch. Right up at the very top of the zone. And you see Stephen Vogt coming out from behind home plate, letting his infielders know that the runners are going to be in motion. Full count pitch with 2 outs, so the play defensively is probably going to be at first base.
Ciarte at second, Pollock at first. Here go the runners. Wellington hits it right to Valencia, who bobbles it at third, but recovers. Tries to throw it away. Nice scoop there by Canna. And the Diamondbacks, who had first and second, nobody out, cannot get a run across. We are scoreless after 1 at Chase Field. Hey fans, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag AZDataStrongFan. And you just might see yourself at an upcoming D-backs broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Release Chacin, he's got a fan club out there for a second D-back start. No score, second inning, the A's and the Diamondbacks from Chase Field. He had an outstanding first inning. A one-pitch ground ball out, couple of strikeouts, and now Danny Valencia leads off the Oakland second.
Get some people down in that right field corner behind the foul pole and down the first baseline, dealing with the afternoon sun. Whew, looking right into it. The defenders on the field are all okay, but the fans are having some issues.
And right field corner is a tough gig right now. Strike one. Release Chacin throwing strikes. Get the shades on. One and one. Drives it to left center. Peralta will play it off the wall. Danny Valencia hustling into second, and that's his 17th double. He's been a very productive bat for the A's since they picked him up on waivers from the Blue Jays earlier this month. He was 2 for 4 last night, and now a double to lead off the second.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, both of his hits last night came on off-speed pitches. That's a breaking ball. It just kind of hangs up and out over the plate. And with all that movement that Valencia has in his approach, he seems to be able to stay on off-speed pitches pretty well. Bang that one off the wall in left center.
Here's the catcher, Stephen Vogt. Jumps on the first one and drives it to right center field. And it's in the pool. Splashdown for Vogt, his 17th, 2-0 Oakland. Well, Stephen Vogt homered 14 times during the first half of the year. That's just his 3rd home run since the All-Star break.
First pitch ambush right there. Looks like the A's are coming out aggressively against Chacín tonight, a guy that likes to jump ahead in the count and then expand the zone when possible. That's a sight no pitcher likes to see.
Brett Lawrie.
Diamondbacks trailed one of the best pitchers in the game 2-0 in the ball game last night, and managed to come back and tie it and eventually win that ball game. They got another challenge here tonight.
274, 13 homers. Lawrie homered last night. He has in fact homered in each of his last 2 games. And the home run he hit here last night was no cheapie. 9th inning off David Hernandez, 470 feet up alongside the Friday's front row grill in left center. Chacín has it, and that's the first out in the second. This is Lawrie last night, and watch where this one lands. That's a poke. Late addition to Bob Melvin's lineup. He was not in the original lineup for the A's. It's Coco Crisp, who has played in just 28 games this year. 152, just 5 extra base hits. He has had his season essentially wiped out by injuries. Coco Crisp missed all of April after right elbow surgery this spring. Came back May the 6th. He only played about 2 weeks and then had to sit out another 65 games after jamming his neck diving for a fly ball. So he missed all of June, all of July, and just came back first week of August. Has not played a whole lot since. Aaron Hill at second.
I had to look, partner. I mean, Coco Crisp, his given name is Covelli Lois Crisp.
Shortstop.
I never knew that.
Covelli, yeah.
All this time, I knew everybody knew him as Coco. I had never bothered to look up and see if he had a real name, and he does.
It's all in the research. He's been around a long time, Coco Crisp. Marcus Simeon. The A's shortstop, 254 and 11 home runs. Had a good night here last night, 2 for 4. A pair of doubles. That one spins fair. Chacín picks it up and throws it out, so he recovers after the Valencia double and the Vogt homer, but it's 2-0 Oakland.
is between the ages of 10 through 14. Then come out tomorrow to Chase Field for the Fox Sports Arizona and Sanderson Ford Kidcaster auditions from 11:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon at the Sandlot near Baxter's Den during the D-backs athletics game.
Bring pizza.
Yeah. If you want to be sure to be a Kidcaster, we can be bribed.
We're not above that. Oh, we're really not above much. Jake Lamb will lead off the second against rookie right-hander Aaron Brooks. Jake at 275 and 5 home runs. Diamondbacks will have to, as Bob mentioned, come from behind, down 2-0 for the second night in a row against the A's, who got 2 in the third last night against Chase Anderson. It's in the seats and out of play. Jake Lamb's bat has looked pretty good lately. 2 hit games on both Thursday and Friday, and 412 over his last 6. There's the strikeout. That's 3 for Brooks, 1 down.
Second baseman, number 2, Aaron.
Here's Aaron Hill. .230 and 5 homers. Aaron had one of the big hits of the ball game last night. That pinch hit RBI double.
Aaron has turned into quite the weapon off the bench, either as a pinch hitter or as a spot starter at second base, occasionally at third for Jake Lamb. 8 hits off the bench this year for Chip Hale.
Yeah, he's batting .320 as a pinch hitter this year. He's down 0-2. Cool dude and cool dude number 2.
A couple of cool dudes.
Not sure where that leaves the guy on the left.
Well, he's got the best shirt. He just didn't get the memo about the hats.
Oh, we were wearing the hats tonight. Got the D-backs cruise wear shirt. I think you got that out of Greg Schulte's closet. Just missed, and it's full 3-2.
Brooks has shown some good command in the early going, just nibbling away at the corners, fading everything away from the left-handed hitters, keeping the ball out of the middle of the plate so far.
Taking that selfie, don't forget the hashtag AZ Data Strong Fan. In the seats.
We're talking about that part-time player slash pinch hitter role that Aaron Hill finds himself in this year. I was always of the opinion that you would prefer to have veteran players in that role. Not always easy to find a guy who's used to being an everyday player that will readily take to that role, but you have veteran guys that have been through ups and downs. Aaron Hill rips one into left center field for a one-out base hit. Well, the veteran guys who have been to the top of the mountain, they've been to the bottom of the valley, they've had slumps, they've had hot streaks, they tend to handle that role a little better than a younger player who's used to being an everyday guy in the minor leagues.
And Aaron admitted as much earlier this year. He said he won't lie to himself. He's not one of the young guys anymore. And it's definitely a weird dynamic for him. Some of the buddies he played with here have been traded and moved on, but he enjoys being a part of this ball club. Pitcher batting 8th again tonight for Chip Hale. Here's Yolis Chacin. Valencia well in on the grass at third. He bunts at first base side. Canna's on it. Laurie covers, and they move Hill along, 2 outs.
Shortstop, number 13,
A chance for Nick Ahmed now. Nick 0 for 2 with a sacrifice last night. He's at .215 on the year.
One thing sliding Nick Ahmed behind the pitcher will do, it kind of frees him up to use that bunt for a base hit as a weapon. You know, when he's got the pitcher hitting behind him, probably want that number 8 hitter to try to do something with the bat, but with the top of the order coming up behind Nick now, that opens up that bunt for a base hit possibility.
And you've got Valencia even with a bag at third with Hill the runner at second. And Valencia looking into that dugout. Where do you want me here? Well, he will steal strikes with the breaking pitches and the on-speed pitches. He's not afraid to throw any of them at any point.
That's right in the middle of the plate slider that time.
Just in with a fastball. 2-1. Aaron Brooks, as Bob mentioned, that changeup is the best secondary pitch. But he's also been able more often than not to throw that off-speed pitch for strikes, both when he's behind and ahead in the count. Sometimes early to steal a strike, get ahead. And he really mixes things up. Missed with that one. 3 balls and a strike. Nick trying to get the bat going again since July the 10th, which was really his offensive peak for the year. He's hit only 150. That's when the average got up there and flirted with the 250s. Had that 50-game run earlier this summer. Short, but a right to Simeon. No throw. He almost threw it away. That's been the ongoing adventure with the A's shortstop. But Brooks strands the runner and leads it 2-0.
Colorado, so we'll go Robbie. Corbin will throw the first game of the doubleheader, De La Rosa the night game, and then Anderson on Wednesday. After Robbie's last outing, everybody talking and just, you know, from the top down, felt like it would be good to give him an extra day.
That's Chip Hale announcing a shakeup to his rotation, moving Robbie Ray to Monday. So he also said the team looking to call someone up to make tomorrow's start. That is still TBA. But I did talk with Robbie Ray after his bullpen session yesterday. He told me that he was feeling really strong out there. His last outing was on that extra day of rest. So the team just trying to do that once again. Robbie said, you know, it's kind of been just a roller coaster for him. He was really settling in with that fastball, struggling with those secondary pitches. Last outing, he found those secondary pitches, but lost command of the fastball. So he's really just trying to find that groove, consistency obviously being the key. But he did switch things up a bit. If you notice, no more facial hair for Mr. Ray. He said it was more his wife's urging of that. But hey, we know baseball players, they can be a little superstitious.
Gomez goes out hooks for the first out in the third. Yeah, Robbie's got to have that fastball command. Everything works off that. And it's not been there lately. So yeah, it's a mystery, Bob, about tomorrow. You got any inside information?
Well, I know Brandon Webb's rehab program has been ramped up a little bit lately. I'm not saying it's going to be Brandon Webb, but I'm sure he's putting his name in the hopper. Had his own personal catcher on the post-game show last night. It's all coming together, you know. You read between the lines.
I see what you did there. Throw a few sinkers, give us 5 innings. And they'll come up with somebody for tomorrow. Tony La Russa, Dr. Ed Lewis, Dave Stewart. Billy Burns grounded out his first time up. Let's see. He looks focused. Maybe he's going over some scouting reports there.
Advance report, yeah.
He can hear us, obviously. I don't know if that constitutes a game face, but he certainly looked very serious. 2-1 on Burns. 1 for 4 last night, an RBI single. Boy, this guy, you heard a lot about him as an American League Rookie of the Year candidate. Haven't seen a ton of him, obviously, playing in the AL West, but there's a lot to like with this guy.
Yeah, I keep coming back to that word prototypical. He's a prototypical old school leadoff hitter. Slap the ball around. He's running as he makes contact. He can bunt. He can steal a base. Pesky. All those things.
Counting tonight, he's now got 11 hits and has scored 7 runs in his last 6 games. Second in the majors in infield hits behind only D. Gordon. There's Mark Canha. Struck out his first time up. Gonna watch Billy Burns down there. 25 stolen bases. He's been caught 5 times, and there he goes. Here's the throw from Castillo. And they got him! Wellington Castillo throws out Billy Burns. That's one to put on the resume.
Quick release behind home plate. I've talked about it before. Castillo has a strong throwing arm, but for me, his strength is how quickly he gets rid of that ball. And what a great play by Aaron Hill at the other end. Picking that short hop backhanded and slapping that tag right down in front of the base. Burns has nowhere to go but right into the tag. Wow.
And Burns may have injured himself there. He's going into the clubhouse and is very gingerly holding that hand or wrist. And they'll have a look. Bob Melvin very interested. It's the left one. And it chops one foul. 1-2. The left hand. Oh yeah, that you can see he's in a lot of pain right there.
The left wrist, the way he jammed it into the bag there. Didn't see any loose fingers or anything like that. Sometimes you'll hook the corner of the bag with your thumb.
Ahmed short. We'll check on Billy Burns when we come back. Diamondbacks trail the A's 2-0. Day, Saturday, October 3rd here at Chase Field, presented by Budweiser. The first 10,000 fans will get this Los D-backs soccer jersey, courtesy of Pepsi. Plus, fans can stick around after the game for a concert featuring Latin recording artist Luis Coronel, presented by Sprint and Samsung. For tickets, just visit dbacks.com. Thank you, D-backs, for your support for foster families. We have employees from Mercy Care and Mercy Maricopa, who, along with the Diamondbacks, are hosting 750 foster kids and their families here at the ball game tonight. And many of them sitting out there wearing the orange t-shirts from Mercy Care and Mercy Maricopa. Great to have them here. Inciarte almost took Aaron Brooks' head off with that one. Enders 2 for 2.
Center fielder, AT ARI.
Right back where it came from, almost directly on the path that ball took to home plate. It was repeated as that ball was lined right back at Brooks.
Look at it. And Billy Burns is back out there in center field. Looks like that hand is okay, at least for the moment. So a leadoff single. Here's A.J. Pollock, who had a base hit his first time up. A.J. fourth in the National League in hitting. He's now at .320 on the year, just behind Goldie, and leading the league in runs scored. Oh, and 2. We talked about what Kurt Young said regarding young Aaron Brooks. He said if he was a hitter, you'd have no idea what's coming, because this guy just throws anything at any time, and he's done a good job of keeping the Diamondbacks either off balance or guessing up there, it looks like.
We've seen him throw 4 consecutive changeups in the ball game. We've seen him throw 3 sliders in a row at one point. Almost like he's just using his fastball to show to the Diamondbacks hitters to set up the next off-speed delivery.
He strikes out AJ with a fastball. That's 4 strikeouts for Brooks.
Brooks not overpowering by any stretch of the imagination. His best fastball is in the low 90s, 91, 92, occasionally 93. But as I've mentioned already throughout this game, he just kept his fastball out of the middle. When he's had to throw strikes, he's used a straight changeup and the slider.
He had a very good season at AAA last year in the Royals system, went 12-3 and was named the Omaha team's pitcher of the year. Developed a reputation as a very good strike thrower, a strikeout to walk ratio of about 5 to 1. He struck out Goldie looking his first time up. Dad and daughter day here at the ballpark. Saturday night at the ball game. Exclusive D-backs hat and keepsake photo. Have your choice of a D-backs dad or D-backs daughter cap. If you purchase your special Dad and Daughter Day ticket package at dbacks.com/events, that's where you'll find the keys and the dates to all the special nights here at the ballpark. One 1-0 on Goldie. Good to see Goldie recently returning to the home run form that vanished for much of the second half of the year.
We talked about the stolen bases. One of our keys to the game. Gentlemen, start your engines. Diamondbacks were running wild, stole 8 bases in that 4-game series against Cincinnati. None in the series against the Cardinals.
And nothing yet tonight.
Running with Goldie at the plate is one of those you better be really sure you can make it attempts.
Yeah, when you've got the National League's RBI leader up there, you want to make sure he gets as many opportunities as possible. Three and one. Peralta on deck. Every Goldie bobblehead should have that ear from this point forward. The Goldie helmet ear. Looks painful. Nice one-hand scoop by Vogt behind the plate, and Goldie takes ball 4. First walk issued by Aaron Brooks, and here's David Peralta.
Hey fans, when the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks victory, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
2 on, 1 out. Peralta struck out his first time up. It to right. Reddick. It almost carried over his head. And everybody has to scamper back to the bag. Boy, that was a missile out there.
Maybe just a little bit of topspin on that drive. Reddick nearly misjudged it, kind of froze out there in right field to read it, and by the time he realized it was over his head, he didn't have much time to get back there and make that leaping catch on the warning track.
The Diamondbacks had first and second, nobody out in the first inning, and could not get a run across. Now it's first and second, 2 outs here in the third. It's Wellington Castillo who grounded out his first time up. Where's the beef? Well, it's right here.
Stealing strikes. He's kind of rolled a little slider right up there in the middle of the plate to jump ahead 0-1.
Takes special kind of guts to pitch like that, especially as a rookie. He's had a handful of big league appearances.
I mean, you know, the reality is most hitters at the major league level are first ball fastball hitters. They're looking for that first fastball in the strike zone, and they're going to attack it aggressively. So if you can roll a breaking ball or throw a changeup or a splitter, any kind of an off-speed pitch, if you can get it up there close to the strike zone, you can jump ahead 0-1 on most big league hitters. Now, second and third time through the order, you might want to mix it up a little bit because guys will start to look for that first pitch breaking ball.
Short. Simeon, they get the force on Goldie, and once again Aaron Brooks wiggles off the hook. He leads it 2-0. To you in part by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers. Beautiful Lake Powell. Back home in the great state of Arizona, Diamondbacks trying to get the offense going here. They've out-hit the A's 4-3, but trail it 2-0. And Josh Reddick will lead off the fourth against Yolis Chacin. Reddick, Valencia vote 3, 4, and 5. Josh Reddick, a key bat in this lineup. He's been one of the few constants in Oakland the last few seasons, but has not done much at the plate lately. Hitting only .225 in August. And was 0 for 3 last night. Three one. Leadoff walk. First walk issued by Yolis Chacin.
Third baseman, Danny Valencia.
Valencia's hit the ball hard throughout this series. He banged a double off the wall in left center his first time up.
Watch out with off-speed pitches. We talked about it after Valencia banged that double into the gap in left center, his first at bat of the game. He has a lot of movement in his swing, a lot of bat waggle, leg kick. He dives in toward home plate, a lot of moving parts. But somehow he seems to always be on off-speed pitches if they're in the strike zone.
He has 5 homers and 14 RBIs in only 17 games since he joined the A's from the Blue Jays at the beginning of this month. It's like he's on the dashboard of a car. One of those rubber statues you put up there. Kind of bounces around.
Weight all on the front, then he goes to the back, the high leg kick, has a hitch with his hands, barrel of the bat's wiggling all over the place.
Already 6 ground ball outs for Yolis Chacin. See if he can roll a double play here.
That's a pitch to do it. An 88-mile-an-hour sinker down there at the knees, down at the bottom of the zone, trying to get Valencia to nibble on that one and hit that ground ball he's looking for.
Jumped on that one. Well, swung out of his shoes that time. Hit it up in the third deck foul.
Another off-speed pitch that time, up and out over the plate. Home run distance, but wrong area code.
Wow. 2-2.
Strike 2.
Strike 3. Third strikeout for Yolis Chacin. 1 down in the fourth. Right. You know, there's a lot to. It's been a game and a half essentially, but there's a lot to like with Yolis Chacin here. The Diamondbacks did a good job bringing him into the organization. They had to move Danny Dorn to create a spot on the 40-man roster for him to get him up here. And Dorn has since been picked up by the Blue Jays, by the way. But the Diamondbacks may really have something here. A guy that can give them some innings and certainly knows the National League West.
And probably has a little different mindset now than he's had in the past. I mentioned he was the opening day starter for the Rockies 2 years ago. He'd done a nice job pitching at Coors Field. And then suddenly you find yourself without a job. Bang around the minor leagues for a while, accumulate some innings down there, show people that he still had a good arm, but more than anything else, I think now your attitude is, I'm thankful for every day I'm handed the baseball at the major league level.
0-1 on Stephen Vogt, who hit a home run into the pool his first time up on the fly. Hits this one short center. AJ on the run and has to drop in front. Vogt 2 for 2.
That's what will happen when you hit a ball in a pool. Your first at bat of the game. A.J. Pollock out in center field actually broke back a little bit, about a step, respecting the power of Stephen Vogt before coming in and playing that ball on a hop.
Yeah, Elise Chacin let go in spring training by the Rockies, and as Bob mentioned, won 14 games with Colorado just 2 years ago. He was their opening day starter and their best pitcher. Indians picked him up. He pitched in their minor league system for a while. They cut him loose in June. Diamondbacks picked him up the next day. He made 12 starts in Reno, went 5-3 with a 3.39 for the Aces, and here he is. Josh Reddick is the runner at second. Stephen Vogt at first. 1 out. And here's Brett Lawrie. Lawrie tapped back to the mound his first time up. Another free swinger up there. Now these guys, they all have American League swings. It's the softball beer league swing.
Big hits, drop their hands, and then get them back up into a hitting position. Many of them have big leg kicks. Gear it up.
It's home run derby up there. And we talked about Lawrie and his stance, how he's so far back off the plate oftentimes, that right-hand batter's box, and just kind of leans over. But it's certainly working for him. He's homered in his last 2 games, and he's got an 8-game hitting streak. A high chopper to Ahmed. Shovel pass to get the force on Reddick. And Laurie's aboard. Like a wishbone quarterback out there, Nick Ahmed.
That's a pretty alert play on the part of Nick Ahmed to get the lead runner at third base. They may have been able to get the force at second. Probably no chance to turn the double play the way Lawrie runs. So instead he takes the lead runner at third base. Now it's going to take something into the outfield to possibly score that runner from second.
Covelli Crisp. It just doesn't sound right, does it? Yeah, see?
Coco.
Coco grounded out his first time. I guess T-Bone was taken. I mentioned this. I found this in the notes. I just thought it was funny. Coco, he's 35. He'll be 36 in November, so he's getting up there. And at this point in his career, he has one great strength. He has not been hit by a pitch since May 9th, 2011.
Pick a rib.
That's a streak of 500 and well, now I believe 504 consecutive games without getting hit by a pitch, the longest active streak in the major leagues. So it's been a thin year for Coco, but that's at the top of the list right now. He's hitting $152. What do you want from me?
He's quick enough to get out of the way of inside pitches.
Apparently. He's out of Los Angeles, played at Pierce College. 7th round pick by the Cardinals back in 1999. There's a little tapper to first. Goldie's on it. And a good job there by Yolis Chacin. Diamondbacks still trail it 2-0. Game show. Check out the D-backs' recent visit to Japan when our team executives met with the teams in their tour of the cities. The feature debuts Monday at 5 o'clock during the Diamondback Live pregame show. Did you like it going over there? It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've been over there a couple of different times. It's an adjustment. Obviously, cultural differences. The beds are really small. The doorways are really short. Got to be careful. I don't know how Randy got along over there.
It's like being in a submarine or something.
It is. You have to duck everywhere you go.
Jake Lamb leads off the Diamondback fourth against rookie Aaron Brooks, who's really pitched a nice ball game for himself here. 25-year-old right-hander. Just his 5th appearance with the A's, his 4th start. Jake struck out his first time up. We were talking last night about Sonny Gray, 5'11", 195, about how you don't see too many smallish right-handers. Usually you like the big Roger Clemens type build. Well, this is it. And it's headed for the seats and out of play. Aaron Brooks, 6'4", 220, as Kurt Young said, almost a perfect pitcher's body. You buy that?
Yeah. I mean, I always thought that the perfect pitcher's body has a very short upper body, very long, thick legs. That's Clemens. Clemens, big, thick, strong thighs.
Where the power comes from?
Yeah, driving off that rubber. Really supplying a lot of power with your lower body, and then very short upper bodies. I don't know. Dusty Baker always said the perfect hitter was 6 foot tall, weighed 190 pounds.
What?
Any taller than that, your arms get too long, they get too involved in your swing. Any shorter than that, you can't cover the plate. He thought 6 foot 190 was perfect for him.
He carves it out to left. But Coco's there to run that down. What a runner.
I think that's the greatest thing about the game of baseball. One of the greatest things is one size doesn't fit all.
That's for sure.
You have your Billy Wagners of the world that stand barely 5'10", throw 100 miles an hour. Then you've got your Randy Johnsons at 6'10" that throw 100 miles an hour, and everything in between.
Aaron Hill a base hit his first time up.
Freddie Patek, he was 5 foot nothing. A long career with the Kansas City Royals.
Great infielder in the 70s. Well, Brooks seems like a guy who's pretty long-legged. Tall, lanky guy out there with long legs. Pretty simple throwing motion. Valencia at third. There you go. Eddie Goodell, as Joe Garagiola said, he was a great low ball hitter.
Great low ball hitter.
Here's the pitcher, Yolis Chacin. He has shown himself to be a very good bunter in his first couple of starts with the Diamondbacks. Had a sac bunt his first time up.
How about this on the topic? This is a direct quote from Joe Sr. Ball players, like most valuables, come in different sizes and shapes, but don't let the size or shape fool you. It's not what they look like on the outside, but what's on the inside of that body that tells the story.
Well, the story this one so far is rookie Aaron Brooks, who's got a 2-0 lead through 4.
By clean, crisp Coors Light on August 29th, 1977, our old buddy Dwayne Kuiper hit his only career home run. 1,383 at-bats to get that homer. He finished his career with only the one homer in over 3,300 at-bats.
I hate to interrupt you, but what's happening here?
I'm not sure. I think she's in the wrong booth.
Yes, I agree.
And the gentleman in the blue shirt, that is Dwayne Kuiper's younger brother, Glenn Kuiper. Kuipers are just taking over the broadcast world. Glenn wants us to point out that he was only 14 when Dwayne hit his only home run of his major league career. He's a much younger brother.
That is one of your favorite baseball stats.
Oh,
poor Kuiper.
And I need to point out, it's not so much that Kuip hit the home run. It's who the home run came against.
Who was it?
Our old buddy Steve Stone.
Stone Pony. It was not a he gone. Saturday night at the ballpark. Yolis Chacin and the Diamondbacks trail the Oakland A's 2-0 as we are set for the 5th inning.
A lot of people don't realize that if Dwayne Kuiper chose to go up to the plate and try to hit home runs, he might have had 3.
I was going to say 2. Simeon.
Yeah, Smoothie's game, Dwayne Kuiper's game, was a lot like Billy Burns. He was a left-handed hitter that slapped the ball around, and early in his career, before a horrible knee injury, he could run like the wind, could bunt for base hits. But home runs, not so much.
Stay within yourself. 0-2 on Marcus Simeon. Simeon, Brooks, and Burns 8-9-1 in the Oakland 5th. Pop up, short right center. Aaron Hill wants it.
Pitcher, Aaron Brooks.
Here's the pitcher, Aaron Brooks. Aaron Brooks had a rough time of things in his first major league start. It was last year when he was with the Royals. Okay, end of May. He was with the AAA Omaha team, the Storm Chasers, and he was told to meet the big league club in Toronto. Well, one problem, the passport was at home with mom and dad, so the parents had to overnight him the passport. Then he gets there, he doesn't have the Royals blue cleats. They wear blue cleats, and he didn't have a pair, so he had to go to a sporting goods store in Toronto. Cost him about $160, he said, to find blue cleats. So he's got the passport, he's got the cleats, he goes out there. He faced 11 batters, gave up 7 runs, got only 2 outs, and the next morning it was on a plane back to Omaha.
Wow.
That's a rough trip.
Should have just rented the shoes.
But he said he knew the first big league start was obviously a letdown, but it wouldn't be the last one, and he was right. He's looked good here tonight.
Let's go, Oakland! Let's go, Oakland!
I don't get the mittens.
Let's go, Oakland!
There's a lot about that picture I don't get.
3-2. I would imagine that's a problem. Hey, you're getting called up. Meet the team in Toronto. Whoa, suddenly there's international paperwork involved. There's a fly ball out to Cincinnati.
My brief journey into the American League in 1989 with the Blue Jays. We had several Latin players on the team, including George Bell. George, one of the more outspoken players to ever put on a baseball uniform. And of course, every trip when you play for the Blue Jays, you go through customs.
Yeah.
And we used to beg him, please, George, don't say anything. Just be quiet. Just put your bag on the shelf. Do what they ask you to do, and we'll all get through this in a timely fashion. Well, every time. What do you want to look in my bag for? You're picking on me. Oh, okay. Everybody, claim your bag. Get in line. George, he was a great teammate, except on travel days.
Just doesn't fly well.
Ooh.
Well, Billy Burns, to get that, guess that left hand is okay. He stayed in the game and hasn't had any problem with it. Appeared to jam that left wrist on a head-first slide in the 3rd inning when he was thrown out trying to steal second by Wellington Castillo. It looked like he was in a lot of pain there for a while, but doesn't seem to be feeling any effects of that.
Well, Billy Burns looks like one of those guys, and I certainly don't know him well, but he'll wait till November to hurt.
I have a feeling you're right.
There's baseball to be played.
He comes from a very athletic family. His dad was Bob Burns. Bob Burns was a big guy, and it's hard to believe when you look at Billy Burns, but his dad, Bob, 6'3", 227. He was a fullback for the New York Jets.
Wow.
And was actually for a while the backup fullback to John Riggins. Remember, Riggins was in the backfield with Broadway Joe Namath on some of those Jet teams in the early mid-70s before he went to the Redskins. Well, they had a game where Riggins got hurt, and so Bob Burns, he was the backup. He came in and lined right behind Broadway Joe Willie Namath there, and ran for 101 yards in an overtime win against the Giants. Roll to second, Aaron Hill. That's 3 up, 3 down in the 5th. Felice Chacin needs some runs. He's down 2-0.
off for the D-backs, shortstop Nick Ahmed.
Fifth inning at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. The Diamondbacks trailing rookie Aaron Brooks and the Oakland A's 2-0. Nick Ahmed, Ender Inciarte, and A.J. Pollock 9-1-2 in the Diamondback fifth. 4 hits apiece. The difference in the ball game so far, a 2-run homer by the A's catcher Stephen Vogt in the second inning. He had a splash hit into the pool on the fly. His 17th homer of the year. Studio 122 here at Chase Field. This is a tremendous suite right under our broadcast position, and you can see the view in there is fantastic. You can have one big open room like they've got it tonight. You can have a big party of 20 or so in there, or you can divide it in half. High fly ball left center. It's on its way, and it's off the top of the wall. Leadoff double for Nick Ahmed. He just missed a homer.
Breaker that time for Nick Ahmed. I thought he got enough of that ball. Coco Crisp on a dead run toward that gap in left center. Can't get there in time. Fortunately for the A's, Billy Burns plays that carom perfectly off the wall to hold Nick to only a leadoff double.
Studio 122. They're raising the roof in there. Well, that's a fun group. Got that divider open. You can have 2 suites of 10 or one big one of 20, and they are partying here tonight at Chase Field.
The game is behind you.
So a leadoff double for Ahmed. Here's Ender Inciarte, who's 2 for 2. Big birthday party down there, apparently. He's got a lot of friends.
At least 19.
That's true, right? Although I guess when you have that suite, you probably have more friends than you realize.
Oh, yeah.
Valencia will cheat in a bit at third. Kind of kitty corner to the bag with Ahmed, the runner, at second. He's coming in a little bit as Brooks delivers the pitch. D-backs have out hit the A's 5-4, but trail it 2-zip. That's in the seats. It's 1-1.
Still love to see Ender take a shot to the right side here. Even trailing by 2 runs in the ball game, you have to score 1 before you can score 2. So I'd like to see him move Nick Ahmed up to third base somehow here in the course of this at bat. That'll do it.
Base hit to center. Ahmed had to hold up. He'll stop at third. And Inciarte's 3 for 3. Well, I have rarely seen a team have more problems throwing the ball back into the infield than the Oakland A's. They throw it all over the place out there.
Well, they have so many guys that are out of position. Nice clean line drive into center field once again by Inciarte. But on this particular play, Aaron Brooks, you see him backpedaling to get into position to back up the play at home. Instead, he gets into the play at home right there. Steps on the bat that's laying on the ground right there. Just anything that can go wrong defensively has tried to go wrong in this series for Oakland.
They had a play where they threw it back into third last night, and the fielder collided with Gary Cederstrom, who was the third base umpire. It was like a guy in a basketball game setting a pick. So they're on the corners, nobody out for Pollock, who's 1 for 2. Center field. It drops in there. Here comes Ahmed. Ender heads for third, and it's 2-1. 3 straight hits for the Diamondbacks to open up the fifth.
You know what A.J. looked like on this swing? He looked like any number of St. Louis Cardinals in that recently completed 4-game sweep. With runners in scoring position, all the Cardinals tried to do was get the bat on the ball. Don't worry about driving it. Don't worry about hitting it out of the ballpark. Just get the bat on the ball and put it in play. That time A.J. took a really good pitch from Brooks, a slider low and away. hit it off the end of the bat to put it in a good spot in center field, and Diamondbacks are on that merry-go-round, first to third.
Long visit here for the pitching coach, Kurt Young. Cincinnati 3 for 3. Pollock 2 for 3. Here's Goldie, who has struck out and walked. Laurie. They turn the double play. Ender scores. Well, not the result you were looking for, but the Diamondbacks tie the ball game. David Peralta has struck out and fly out. Five, 4, 3 on the double play. No RBI for Goldie. 2-2 ball game. Canna at first, and that's the end of the inning. But the Diamondbacks get two. We're all tied up.
I know everything he's looking at, and I know, we're going to have to be ready.
It'll be fun.
And I said it was going to be a battle. It sure is.
This will be fun. This is the
you
stuff.
can teach a dog new tricks every now and then. I might have a few new things that you don't know.
Maybe so.
You want to beat him.
Of course. That's the way it is. You better, or you shouldn't be in this job.
Chip Hale studied 3 years under Bob Melvin as his bench coach over in Oakland, and today trying to beat his mentor. They are in opposing dugouts tonight, but outside the game, Chip and Bo Mel are the best of buds. In fact, they even carpooled to the game yesterday, and both admitted that they've been caught a game or two this season scoreboard watching to see how their respective teams are doing. And we've had a lot of fun with the two in town this weekend. We've sat them down, talked to them about their baseball careers. Also had fun with a newlywed S-type game, really putting their friendship to the test to see just how well they know each other. So we'll see how that plays out on the field. And between the breaks, you should head to foxsportsarizona.com and check out that game.
Bob Eubanks, the newlywed game. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Does that mean Lightning is Bob Eubanks? A new washer dryer. Make sure you get the right colors. Camo Diamondback cap.
You got to have that. Get to him. Put him on Lightning's tab.
He's got an account. Mark Canha leads off the Oakland 6th against Yolis Chacin.
Well, that's almost not fair.
There's the strikeout. Speaking of newlywed game, has she got a D-back hat on there with sparkles?
Sequence.
Yes, you're on there. She can't find a monitor. Oh, there we are.
Oh, congratulations.
Did they get married at the ballpark? That's nice. Well, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. We lead the league in love. Josh Reddick. I wonder if they had any of Dennis Lamb's pregame meal. That would have worked out well for the wedding party. The Lamb family cooked a tremendous spread for, well, seemed like Dennis, about 50 members of the crew here today before the ball game. We all had a chicken dinner and coleslaw, potatoes, chicken soup.
30 different desserts.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I had 2 plates. Fed the whole crew today. Great job by the whole Lamb family. And thanks to them for all the work they put in on that. Well, Dennis has been cooking for a week. Reddick slaps it the other way, away from the shift. Peralta cuts it off. Reddick will settle for the single. And the latest episode of the Dennis Lamb Show is on the air. It's the cooking show. The whole Lamb family. Oh, Dennis? He's the audio guy, but his mic is off.
Yeah, what's new?
Thank you, everybody, for helping me.
Dennis Lamb.
There you go.
Brief and to the point. So a one-out base runner for Danny Valencia, who has doubled and struck out. The whole Lamb family gets involved, BB. They start preparing the feast a week ahead of time. They get everything prepped and they bring it in here. The whole crew just eats. It's tremendous. Do that a couple of times a year. Jake helps out. He rolls up his sleeve. No, I'm just kidding. No relation. Just a happy coincidence. How about this? A proposal. We already have one bride here at the ballpark.
Jake's a little busy right now.
Yeah. Two 2-0 on Valencia. Good ball game here today. Big crowd on hand too at Chase Field. There's Jake at third. They'll settle for 1, 2 down. Reddick in at second.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think as we had that little bit with Chip Hale and Bob Melvin, one thing that they both learned as bench coaches that I'm sure that they apply on a daily basis now as managers is you can make all the right moves in the world. Statistically, gut instincts, whatever you want to play the game by, you can make the right moves, but if the players don't execute, you're at their mercy.
Well, do you take the position that it is the manager's job to put his players in the best position to succeed, and that's really all he can do?
Sure. I mean, you know, there's things to be done in the clubhouse as far as motivating your players or sympathizing with them when they're in a bad slump or not pitching particularly well. There's ways you can massage personalities in the clubhouse, but as far as the X's and O's of the game, yeah, you can get exactly the matchup you're looking for. And if the guy hits a line drive at somebody, that's the way it goes. That's baseball. Doesn't mean you didn't do the right thing. It just means that on that particular instance, the player wasn't able to execute. And even though it was exactly the right move to make, it didn't work out this time.
1-1 on Stephen Vogt, who was homered and singled. A 2-run homer in the second has accounted for all the Oakland runs.
And in that respect, Bob Melvin is working at somewhat of a disadvantage this year. His team just didn't come together the way Billy Beane and the rest of the organization thought it was going to, so they went through another dismantling at the trade deadline, and probably has a few guys in that lineup staring at it right now, hoping the names will change, but hang with them, Mel, they don't.
The A's have spent 105 of the last 109 days in sole possession of last place in the American League West. That's a big time hang with them. They have lost 12 of 16. They're a season worst 19 games under 500.
They haven't been 20 games under 500 since 1997.
Giving the Diamondbacks a good battle, a good ball game here. 2-2 in the sixth. Here's a look at the American League West. The Houston Astros have a 4-game lead over the surging Texas Rangers, who went out and got Cole Hamels and have done a nice job of salvaging something this year. Being careful with Vogt. 3-1. First base is open. Lowry's on deck. Trying to strand that go-ahead run at second with 2 outs. They walked him. Second walk issued by Jhoulys Chacín. That seemed like more of a pitcher round.
Yeah, I think that's a veteran pitcher round right there. He recognized he has an aggressive younger hitter in the on-deck circle. Vogt has already done some damage in this game. You get the righty on righty matchup that you prefer right here with 2 outs in the inning, and first base was open anyway, so why give him anything to hit?
So here is Brett Lawrie, 0 for 2 so far. He's got an 8-game hitting streak, batting over .450 during his last 8 games, including 3 home runs. 2 on and 2 out. There's a strike, 0-1. That location will work.
Yes, it will.
His pitch count is really in good shape right now. 83 pitches through 5 2/3. Drop that one in there, and Chacín jumps ahead 0-2.
Maybe not the location he was looking for on that particular slider, but just kept the upper part of the strike zone right there. That's not where you want to throw breaking balls, but he got away with one that time.
That was a big miss. Josh Reddick, the runner at second. Stephen Vogt at first. Ron Washington coaching at third. Got him. Jhoulys Chacín pitched around Vogt, wanted Lawrie, and got a big strikeout to strand 2. A Saturday night at Chase Field. 2-2 the A's and the Diamondbacks.
For our Geico this day in, well, we're going to call it Major League Baseball history. August 29th, 1966. Candlestick Park proved to be good for something other than a 49er game as the Beatles played their final concert together at Candlestick Park on this day in 1966.
I don't know. Yeah, it was good for football. That's about it.
Yeah. And, you know,
even then, it wasn't that great.
Kite flying. It was really good for flying kites.
Let's see if the D-backs can get something up in the air here. 2-2 bottom 6. Wellington Castillo leads it off against rookie right-hander Aaron Brooks. Welly so far 0 for 2. Rolls it into left center, a base hit. Leadoff single. That's the 8th hit for the Diamondbacks.
Third baseman, Jake O'Brien.
Castillo's bat starting to heat up again. I got a little quiet there for just a smidge, but he's got 9 hits in his last 7 games, including 2 homers. He's on base to lead off the 6th for Jake Lamb, who's 0 for 2.
One of the best feelings a catcher can have, drawing a pickoff throw from a pitcher. That and a pitch out when you're on base. That's as big as it gets for a catcher.
Sean Doolittle, left-hander, warming up in the Oakland bullpen. Here's a high fly ball to center field for Billy Burns. I must be faster than I think. Probably not.
Second
There you
baseman,
go.
Aaron Hill.
The wooing of Jake Lamb continues. He seems nonplussed. Here's Aaron Hill. Anybody ever hold a "Marry Me Bob Brenly" sign up?
No.
Joan, maybe.
No.
There's a shot down the left field line, but it's pulled forward. Throw that pitch again.
We haven't seen as many of those rocket missile foul balls off the bat of Aaron Hill. He's been putting them in play more recently, getting his base hits, celebrating a foul ball there. Nice going. Take it easy.
Uh-oh. That's not going to end well.
I don't like my chances on the next foul ball up there.
Missed inside, 1-1. Dude.
All right.
Bro. Uh-oh. Need a napkin. Or a bib.
Don't leave him hanging. There you go. Okay.
1-1. On the ground is short. Simeon, Lillard, there's the double play. That ends the inning. We are through 6. It's a 2-2 ball game.
it's Kyle and Kelly Kirsch. They just got married 12:30 today in Scottsdale, and they did what every smart newlywed couple does. They rushed to the ball game. Tell me why you are here on your wedding day. It seems like a natural to me, but for those at home who don't understand it, tell us all about it, Kelly.
We met at a game back in 2012, and the D-backs are a huge part of us.
So who needs Match.com? You just need the D-backs.
The D-backs all the way.
Well, how did you guys incorporate this? How did you want to make this into your day? And it's your 3-year anniversary, I understand.
Yeah, we just come here every year for our anniversary, so Saturday, why not?
Worked out perfect.
Yeah.
And did you coordinate everything to be D-back centric at your wedding as well?
We did, yep. We had the Sedona red and gray and everything.
And then how many people do you have here? I see the Flower Girl accompanied you, but how many people are enjoying the game with you guys here this week?
About 30.
30, yeah.
Family.
Our little right there.
Oh, and Michael, number one son, he's ready to go. And I can't help but notice something in your hand that looks like a Diamondbacks garter. Are you going to do a little garter toss right here? This might be a first at a Diamondbacks game here.
We love being the first.
Oh, wait. Before you go, we have a quick question from someone in the audience. What's going on?
Are you going to have a Gatorade for her?
That's what every bride wants to hear on her wedding day. What if it was red Gatorade?
Red Gatorade, that'll work, right?
That would be super fans. Let's go for that garter toss. Obviously, if you get married and come out to the ballpark, this is the place to be. You stick with just getting married at the ballpark, maybe not playing out there after that garter toss. I don't know. All right, congratulations. You guys have a great
Thank you so much. Thank you. Go D-backs.
Well, it was a first and a last, I have a feeling. Coco Crisp flies out. Here's Marcus Simeon. So they met. Some background on this. They got married today, but she said there was the 3rd anniversary of the day they met at the Diamondback game. So there's a nice synergy there. They got married on the 3-year anniversary of the day they met here at a Diamondback game. Deep fly ball right center. AJ, long way to go, and he runs it down. A couple of deep fly ball outs here for Yolis Chacin. He's only at 90 pitches, 58 strikes. He's pitched a good ball game so far. Just 2 runs on 5 hits. And how about that for consistency, baby?
He's been a model of it. Granted, only his 2nd start as a member of the Diamondbacks, but doing exactly what they expected him to do. Pound that strike zone, pitch deep into the ball game, which is something this rotation has desperately needed all season long.
Well, country breakfast on the menu. It's Billy Butler, his first season in Oakland. He'll hit for the pitcher Brooks. And it's not going all that well. 236 and 9 home runs. They got a 3-year, $30 million free agent deal in the offseason, and it's been a slow start. One and two. Well, you look up American League DH in the dictionary. Ooh. Here's the picture. And he strikes out. Yolis Chacin. A 1-2-3-7. Do we stretch a chase? It's 2-2.
Very difficult to take David Peralta out of the lineup and Ender right now. It really is, especially against righties. So that's just the honest truth from me. But we need to find time for him, or we're just going to lose that bat completely, because it's just not that easy to do what, for example, Aaron's done and Salty has done off the bench.
Chip Hale talking about his crowded outfield. A.J. Pollock needs to be in there every day, and certainly the way they're playing against right-hand pitching, as Chip Hale mentioned, you've got to have Inciarte and Peralta in there. So the odd man out as of late has been Yasmani Tomas. But Tomas, in a pinch hit role here, will hit for Chacin to lead off the 7th against the new Oakland pitcher. It's the right-hander Fernando Rodriguez. Tomas struck out as a pinch hitter last night. And the bat has really slowed since the All-Star break. And I thought it was interesting, Bob, to hear Chip use that term. You know, you got to get him spots, otherwise you lose that bat. He's hit just .233 in the second half of the year.
He has seemed to respond well, however, to a day or two or three off here or there.
Pitch swing and bounces it to Simeon. One pitch, one out.
Not so much that at bat, but you know, another thing that's compounded the playing time problem for Tomas is his defense in right field. Had the game the other day against the Cardinals when he missed the cutoff man twice in one ball game, allowing runners to advance into scoring position. I mean, it's one thing to struggle offensively, and every player will go through peaks and valleys over the course of the season, but the way this Diamondbacks ball club is put together, they need the defense to show up every day.
Nick Ahmed doubled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Well, that's the end of Yolis Chacin's night. Another very good start for the Diamondbacks. 2 runs on 5 hits. He went 7 innings, walked 2 and struck out 6. And keep in mind, it's a thin bullpen back there tonight as Andrew Chafin starts warming up. A sky-high pop-up to Laurie at second. Reports in the New York media that Addison Reed was traded just before the ball game to the New York Mets. Diamondbacks getting a pair of minor leaguers in return. The trade has not been finalized. The physicals are still pending, and the Diamondbacks have not confirmed the news. But Addison Reed was here in uniform at the start of the ball game tonight, but reports in New York saying he has been traded to the Mets. And as soon as we get confirmation of that news, we'll pass it along to you. 2 down now for Ender Inciarte, who's 3 for 3. So they needed their starter to go deep into the ball game, and the Chacin stepped up big time, 7 full. Especially with a doubleheader coming up Tuesday in Colorado. And we still don't know who's going to start the game for the Diamondbacks tomorrow in the series finale here. There's a chance they call somebody up from the minor leagues to make that start. We've talked about how the bullpen is already thin, and it's been used a lot lately. So the idea of maybe piecing together 3 innings here, 2 innings there, 2 more innings there from another guy doesn't seem like the greatest idea right now, based on the workload that bullpen has turned in lately. So there's a good chance that somebody gets called up from the minors to start tomorrow. And then Robbie Ray goes Monday, Colorado. Doubleheader Tuesday. Three and 2. Hey fans, as promised, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to AZ Data Strong fan with a hashtag of the whole thing for a chance to be featured in a Diamondback broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. A 2-out walk for Inciarte. He's on board for the 4th time tonight. Not bad for a leadoff guy.
Center fielder, A.J. Pollock.
A.J. Pollock 2 for 3, a pair of singles. A.J. hitting .360 since the All-Star break. And the only players in the National League with a higher batting average in the second half of the season are the Reds' Joey Votto and his teammate David Peralta. Valencia on the short hop at third. Rodriguez works around the 2-out walk. We go to the 8th in a tie game here in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona Federal Credit Union Power Player of the Game. Another good-looking start from new Diamondback Yolis Chacin.
Yeah, really encouraging to see the way Chacin has attacked his new role here in the Diamondback starting rotation. Really had a good slider going tonight, just pounding away at the edges. And much like his first start against the St. Louis Cardinals, he'll give way to Andrew Chafin. Chacin to Chafin.
Changed the one letter. And again, no Addison Reed back at the bullpen tonight. A couple of New York media outlets reporting that the Diamondbacks have traded Addison Reed to the New York Mets for a pair of minor leaguers. Pending physicals, the trade is still not complete, and the Diamondbacks have not confirmed the deal. And I can tell you that the names of the minor leaguers they would receive from the Mets are out there. Matt Koch, a 26-year-old catcher, and Miller Diaz or Diaz, a 23-year-old pitcher. That from Bob Nightingale of USA Today. Billy Burns leads off the Oakland 8th. He's 1 for 3. Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. Billy Burns is a switch hitter. He's a natural right-hand hitter, and this year has been much better from the right-hand side, over .330. But like most switch hitters, he bats left-handed a lot more often. And in a 2-2 ball game in the 8th, this is a guy you want to keep off the bases if you can. And sure enough, hopper to Goldie for the first out.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 20 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game. Tonight's contestant will take home a Chase Anderson Kachinko game piece.
One away for Mark Canha, the first baseman, who's 0 for 3.
With that out, Andrew Chafin has now pitched 67 innings even on the season, second most in Major League Baseball among relievers. Only Justin DeFreitas of the Philadelphia Phillies has thrown more innings out of the bullpen.
And it makes that low ERA even more remarkable. Talking about Rookie of the Year consideration.
Has the lowest ERA among rookie pitchers in the National League. He's pitched in the second most ball games. He has 5 victories, no defeats. Had himself a really nice year.
Chafin ahead 0-2. Come a long way from a fringy type starter last year as a rookie, after he was a first-round pick out of Kent State. Saw him a couple of times get some starts near the tail end of last season, and now has become a real force from the left-hand side at the back end of this bullpen. He's gotten a lot of big outs over the course of the year. First round pick by the D-backs 4 years ago out of Kent State.
And he's definitely more than just a lefty specialist. He has held lefties to a 177 average this year, but righties only hitting 217 against him.
Aaron Hill able to knock it down, but he can't get the glove on it. A.J. Pollock is there to back up, and Canna has a 1-out single. Make sure Aaron's okay. He hit the ground kind of hard that time.
Right fielder Josh Reddick.
Sometimes you can protect yourself as you're diving for a ball. At other times you're so fully extended you can't get that hand or glove down in time to cushion that blast when you hit the ground. That time Aaron landed hard on the left side of his rib cage.
So a 1-out base runner for Josh Reddick. Diamondbacks have the shift on. Reddick has walked and singled. He's 1 for 2. Our staff, BB, our moderately reliable staff, has done some detective work trying to figure out who's going to start the game tomorrow.
Okay.
The Diamondbacks have still not announced a starter for tomorrow's series finale. Alan Webster was supposed to start tonight for the Reno Aces, but R.J. Hively made the start instead. Shift is on. Aaron Hill's going to have to settle for 1 there. Canna's in at second, 2 outs. Hit hard right at him, able to knock it down and at least get 1.
It looked like it actually hit him on the throwing hand and then up into the midsection. He's able to stay with it enough to get the out at first base. Just taking a look at his right hand. He doesn't want anybody to know that he took that ground ball off the thumb, but yeah, checking it out now.
Conference time at the mound, and Aaron's the only one not invited. While we have a moment, speaking of our Diamondback farm system, we take a look at our State Farm report of the ball game. Todd Glazeman from Reno, 3 for 4 yesterday, a hot bat lately. And again, Alan Webster was scheduled to start tonight's game for the Aces. R.J. Hively makes the start instead, so that might be a hint that we'll see Alan Webster start the series finale here against Oakland tomorrow afternoon.
Well, everybody's smiling, but eventually Chip Hale called his second baseman into the meeting on the mound and said, "Hey, what do you got going on there?" Apparently got the answer he was looking for. Everybody had a little bit of a laugh about it.
It's like the lonely end out there. That old Army formation. He's not coming out. Valencia, their first base open. This guy's hit the ball hard most of the series so far, so they'll deal with Vogt and go with the lefty-lefty matchup there. Vogt hit one into the swimming pool, accounting for both Oakland runs in the ball game so far. It was the 53rd home run to land directly into the RamTrucks.com pool. in the history of Chase Field. The 23rd time it was done by a Diamondbacks opponent. This was Stephen Vogt in the second.
17th home run of the season for Vogt. 16 of those have come against right-handed pitching. He hits about 25 points higher against righties, so that's why the intentional walk to put lefty on lefty right here.
Vogt has homered, singled, and walked. You've got Canna, the runner, at second, Valencia at first, 2 outs. Chafin and Vogt. Vogt, despite his good night tonight, hitting only 185 since the All-Star break. Two 2-0. And check his swing. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Oh, a good pitch right there. Breaking ball behind in the count, 2-0. You know, Vogt is geared fastball right here. Counts in his favor. Drop that breaking ball just off the outside corner. Gets the check swing.
Just missed there, and it's 3-1.
Tough pitch to take if you're Stephen Vogt. Just off the outside corner that time. And now if you're a hitter, well, he threw me a breaking ball, 2-0. Will he throw another one on a 3-1 count? That's part of the thought process as a hitter when you're facing an opposing pitcher. He had enough confidence in that slider to throw a 2-0. Will he come back with it again on a 3-1 count?
There is a right-hander warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. Brett Laurie is in the on-deck hitter. 3-1.
Maybe that little bit of indecision, wondering if he was going to get another slider. 3-1 caused him to be way late on that fastball.
2 on, 2 out, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Randall Delgado in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Laurie, the right-hand hitter, on deck. He would be next. There go the runners. Chop foul. Ernie Ned had to range way in there to pick up that one. A golden glover down the right field line. There's Laurie on deck, 0 for 3. He'll do it again on 3-2. Score, and it's 3-2 Oakland. It just was a little dying quail out there and very short left. Too far for Peralta to run in and get. And the A's take the lead.
That's too bad for Andrew Chafin. Good at bat right there. He does come back to that breaking ball on the 3-2 pitch. You could see just a slow swing that time from Stephen Vogt. A little dunker out into shallow left field that drops for an RBI base hit.
And with Laurie coming up, Chip Hale will go get his right-hander. They'll take a break. It's 3-2 Oakland.
Brought to you in part by Card Power from Arizona Federal Credit Union. Now that's the power of us. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Phoenix International Raceway. Join PIR on November 15th for NASCAR. Visit us at phoenixraceway.com and get your tickets now.
Well, Bob, you made a great point earlier in the ball game about the manager putting the pieces in the right place and giving his team the best matchups and the chance to succeed there. They worked around Valencia. They got the lefty-lefty matchup against Vogt, 2 outs, and he just dropped one in there. And it came back and bit him there.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Andrew Chafin made a mistake. He threw a good breaking ball. Stephen Vogt just put a good 2-strike swing on it, protecting the plate. Just flipped it out there into left field for a RBI base hit.
So now they're on the corners with 2 outs, and it's Randall Delgado versus Brett Lawrie. Lawrie 0 for 3. Valencia, the runner at third, and Vogt at first. Diamondbacks in the bottom of the 8th will have Goldie, Peralta, Castillo 3, 4, and 5. They have out hit the A's 8-7, but now trail at 3-2. Well, he is up there just chasing. Big loopy swing. Got his 8-game hitting streak on the line, 0 for 3. Way up in the air toward the left field line, Peralta. And Delgado strands 2, but the A's get 1 to take a 3-2 lead. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Goldie, Peralta, and some beef Wellington on the menu in the Diamondback 8th.
Game show coming up right after the conclusion of this one. And Brandon, we'll talk a lot about how this game came to a conclusion, but part of our discussion has to be about Jacine. I thought you had an interesting observation about how his night played out.
Yeah, I felt like the first inning his stuff was nasty. Second and third inning not so much. His slider was not near as effective, but then after that he really settled down, kept the slider way down, and it was really big pitch for him tonight.
All right, we'll take a closer look at that. I love Steve and Bob and their take that he has probably found a role here, no doubt, with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Lots of baseball to go, though. Back to the booth. Steve and Bob, bring this one home.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, Chacin has certainly given that rotation, which is a little tired and banged up right now. A shot of energy as Goldie leads off the Diamondback eighth.
And you'd like to think that some of the young pitchers in the Diamondbacks rotation would watch the way the veteran Chacin goes about his business. How does he get deep into the ballgame? How is he able to conserve his pitches the way he has done in his 2 starts? And hopefully a lesson that those young guys can learn.
You know what, if Ruby De La Rosa learns to pitch like that, he'll be deadly. With his stuff. That's the thing that the Rockies sort of wavered on a little bit, was Chacin's velocity. It was, you know, upper 80s-ish in spring training this year, coming off a shoulder injury last season. But Ruby, with, you know, throwing 96 with that 2-seam, if he can pitch that way, then you'll really have something. Goldie not happy with himself that time. 2-2.
Goldie talking to himself up there. You rarely see that. Really chases a bad ball up and in that time.
Fernando Rodriguez, his second inning of work. 3-2. Well, the Diamondbacks, if they can get the win tonight, will match last year's win total. They won 64 games last year. If the A's lose, they will pass last year's loss total. They lost 74 last year. 3-2 to Goldie. Called strike 3. Lance Barksdale rings him up. Second time tonight that Goldie has struck out looking.
Left fielder, David Peralta.
David Peralta 0 for 3. Is that under the too close to take department?
I'm sorry, say again?
Is that one a little too close to take there, 2 strikes?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it was. And, you know, Goldie very frustrated with himself for swinging at the bad pitch earlier in the at-bat. I think that's why he didn't argue at all, even though the ball may be off the plate away. But I think when you chased a bad pitch at some point in the at-bat, you find it hard to argue on a borderline pitch because you just swung at one that was behind your head.
Oh, 0-2. Goldie a little upset with himself in the dugout there. Brett Lawrie. 2 down. Hey, D-backs fans, we introduce to you brand new. It's Pepsi Limon, made with just a hint of real lime juice. Pepsi Limon, a little bit of lime and a whole lot of flavor. Pick up yours today. Now available at your local retailer. 2 down for Wellington Castillo. Castillo singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Series finale tomorrow. Diamondback Live pregame show at 12:30 on Fox Sports Arizona. Jesse Chavez for the A's and TBD for the Diamondbacks, who have still not announced their starter for tomorrow. We suspect it might be Alan Webster, who was supposed to start for the Reno Aces in AAA tonight, but did not.
I'm still not quite willing to eliminate Brandon Webb as a possible starter tomorrow.
I'm right there with you. 5 and fly for Webby. Minimum.
Throwing those eggplants 120 feet now, so he's getting very close to getting up on the mound and throwing vegetables.
I saw on the post-game show last night while you were talking with the Lightning and his cavalcade of stars a picture of Webby powerlifting or something, some part of his comeback.
Personally, I think there was some photoshopping involved, but yeah, Webby had about 1,000 pounds on the bar doing some squats.
It's going to be quite an alumni game next year, at least. Two and two. This does get a piece of it. It stays fair. And that's the final out of the 8th inning. We'll go to the 9th. That might be a little small. Diamondbacks trail at 3-2. The Cox Gig Live high-speed highlights. Our Gila River game summary 9th inning here at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trailed the A's 3-2. Yolis Chacin pitched a very good ball game for the D-backs. The only real mistake he made was the Stephen Vogt 2-run homer in the second. And the A's on a dying quail bloop single by Vogt in the 8th have taken a 3-2 lead. Chris Owings takes over at second base for Aaron Hill as Coco Crisp leads off the 9th against Randall Delgado. So maybe Aaron's hand is a little sore after that ground ball ate him up. Coco 0 for 3. One and one.
D-backs with a golden opportunity possibly here tonight. The Giants already lost this afternoon to the St. Louis Cardinals 6-0. Dodgers and Cubs tied up at 1. That's John Lester and Matt Latos hooked up in Los Angeles tonight.
D-backs began the evening 8.5 games back at the Dodgers NL West League. Hold on there, Coco. It's full 3-2. Owings just checked into the ball game. Sure enough, first down finds him.
That happens so many times. We should keep a stat on that. Guy comes into the ball game as part of a double switch or a defensive replacement, and it seems like that first ball is always hit right to him.
Hey fans, follow the Diamondbacks wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Marcus Semien, the shortstop. He's 0 for 3. And a pair of doubles last night. Diamondbacks in the home half of the ninth will have Lamb, Owings, and the pitcher's spot. 6, 7, 8. Drew Pomeranz, the left-hander, warming up with the A's bullpen. Fly ball short right in Ciarte. 2 outs. Jake Smolinski now will hit for the pitcher. Diamondback Live postgame show. Todd Walsh and a cavalcade of stars right after our ball game. So here's Smolinski, 194 and 3 homers. He was 0 for 3 last night. That's a fair ball down the left field line. Peralta will fish it out of the corner, and Smolinski is in with a double.
Center fielder Billy Burns.
Brings up Billy Burns.
The original lineup I saw for the A's today had Smolinski playing left field, but as we mentioned, he was a late scratch in favor of Coco Crisp, but comes off the bench to double down into the corner here with 2 outs in the ninth.
And Burns, the switch hitter, will switch back around to bat left-handed here against the righty Delgado. A single in the third. He's 1 for 4. And when he hits left-handed, generally he's very good at slapping the ball the other way. If he can do it this time, he might bring in a run. Peralta's there though. And they strand the 2-out double. Bottom 9 on the way. Diamondbacks down 1.
Chase Field in September. The D-backs take on the San Francisco Giants September 7th through the 9th, followed by a 3-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. On Saturday, September 12th, the first 10,000 fans 21 and older will get a D-backs beer stein courtesy of Budweiser. Visit dbacks.com.
Bottom 9 here at Chase Field. Diamondbacks trail the A's 3-2. Now to try and close this one out for Oakland, it's the left-hander Drew Pomeranz. His 42nd appearance, an ERA right at 3.5. Jake Smolinski will remain in the ball game. He'll take over in left field for Coco Crisp. And that 9th pitcher spot now 7th in the A's order. Lamb, Owings in the pitcher's spot. 6, 7, and 8 in the Diamondback 9th. Jake Lamb 0 for 3. Left-hand hitters this year versus Pomeranz, batting .125.
Pomeranz leads the A's staff with 2 saves.
Well, it's a work in progress.
The current players they have on the roster, they only have 4 recorded saves. Jesse Chavez has 1, Edward Mujica has 1, and Drew Pomeranz with 2.
Drew Pomeranz, 3 years with the Colorado Rockies, mostly as a starter. And 4 and 14 with the Rockies. 34 games, 30 starts, a 5.20 ERA. Picked well for Oakland last season. Ahead of Lamb 0-2. Former first-round pick by the Indians out of Ole Miss. He was the 5th overall pick in the draft 5 years ago, Drew Pomeranz. Strikes out Jake Lamb to open up the bottom of the 9th. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game. Wellington Castillo throws out Billy Burns.
A good play on both ends. A quick release by Castillo. A great pick and tag by Aaron Hill down there at second base. Nicely done.
Chris Owings now. CO had a double and a run scored last night. That snapped an 0 for 16 skid. And he's down 0-1. Chris at .232 and 4 home runs. Pitcher spot is due up next. Jared Saltalamacchia in the on-deck circle. They're ready. .95 right by him. Second strikeout. Diamondbacks down to their last out. It'll be Salty to hit for the pitcher.
He's just overpowering the first 2 hitters here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Jared Saltalamacchia will pinch hit for the pitcher spot. His last 15 pinch hit appearances, he's 6 for 14 with a walk. That's a .429 average. We were talking about it with Aaron Hill earlier. You know, those veteran guys that find themselves in this part-time player pinch hitter role, and Jared Saltalamacchia has really blossomed into a good pinch hitter this season.
6 for 16 in a pinch hit role this year. He's the last man standing, down 0-1. That's the ball game. A's get that critical dying quail 2-out RBI single from Stephen Vogt in the 8th inning, and that proves to be the difference as they even the series at a game apiece. Pomeranz comes in and strikes out the side on the day that it's been widely reported in New York that the Diamondbacks traded Addison Reed to the Mets for 2 minor leaguers pending the physicals. Addison Reed obviously still here, and the Diamondbacks have not confirmed that deal. But they will go into the series finale tomorrow, Bob, still not knowing who their starting pitcher will be, and trying to win that series finale.
Yeah, hopefully swing the bats a little bit better tomorrow. A lot of very aggressive swings at pitches out of the zone tonight. You don't mind aggressive swings on strikes, but a lot of guys chasing bad pitches tonight.
Well, let's start Diamondback Live post-game show. Brandon Webb standing by with Todd Walsh. Todd.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. We appreciate that. Coming up in a matter of moments, we'll kick the show off. And Brandon, I think an interesting look at pitching here tonight on both sides of the diamond, right?
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. I think they both threw really well. Surprised me, I didn't know too much about him, but Chafee came out and had a great game as well. So did Chacin.
All right, we'll take a close look at that and how the Oakland A's managed to put together a win in Game 2 and even the series at a game apiece. We'll do all the standard fare because that's what Diamondbacks Live is all about. We'll hear from Bob Brenly, his take on this one. Plus, we'll get Kate Longworth in the clubhouse and also the press room. We'll hear from manager Chip Hill, and I believe we're efforting an Oakland Athletic outside their dugout. They win this one 3-2 when we come back. Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink, will begin from Chase Field on this Saturday night. The A's win it 3-2. Back in a moment.